Now, Ask Dr. Love with psychotherapist, author, love and relationship expert Jamie Turndorf, PhD.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ask Dr. Love Radio. I'm Dr. Jamie Turndorf, and it's my pleasure to be with you again today. So, question for you: are you trapped in an imaginary relationship and not even aware of it? Do you often feel run down in your relationships? Does your partner make excuses for not calling and coming around, and do you accept those excuses? Are you sexually exclusive with your partner and sleeping with him while he's having sex with other people? Meaning, are you nothing more than friends with benefits? Or do you ignore what he says to you about how he actually feels about you? Specifically, is he telling you that things aren't serious, but you aren't taking his word seriously? And does it feel as if you keep giving more and more to a man and not getting back what you want? Well, if you said yes to any of my questions, you could be in I can't say this, an imaginary relationship. So stick around to find out if you're clinging to the ghost of a relationship that doesn't truly exist. We're going to get to the bottom of that in a few minutes. I'm going to also answer some questions that I selected that came into the site. The first one's called Awaiting My Next Love, or Is It Already Here? And I'm helping out a young woman who was cheated on and dumped by her last love, and now she finds herself drawn to her martial arts teacher, who she fears may be another player poised to break her heart. So stick around to find out the secret reason why she keeps choosing cheaters and what she can do to set herself free. Second question is gay man who worries that his boyfriend is cheating, and here I'm helping out a guy who's been abused and beaten by one lover after another, and now he worries that his current lover is cheating on him. And his question is, how can he find out without pointing the finger? And third question of the week is getting X back, and here I'm helping out a young woman whose boyfriend pulled away from her soon after he moved away to school. So he was very tied up with his studies and couldn't handle her pressuring him for more time and more attention. And now that it's over, she wants to know if there's any way to get her ex back. So stick around to find out what she can do to get this guy back online. Now, I also have a reading between the sheets. No relationship is complete without a roll in the hay. So this one's called Girlfriend Cheated on Me with a Lesbian. And here I'm assisting a man whose girlfriend asked for time out to figure out whether she's gay or not. And he's heartbroken and wants to know whether he should give her the time or just end it. So stick around to find out how I suggest he proceed. Now, let's get on to imaginary relationships. So let me lay out for you the dirty dozen telltale signs that you're in a one-sided love affair. Well, actually, I have 13 signs for you. Now, here they are. First, you tell him you're sick, and he doesn't offer to bring you soup or check up on you in the next day to see how you're feeling. Now, God forbid you really needed serious taking care of, you wouldn't want to have to rely on this dude. Number two, he forgets stories you tell him about your friends and family, so he either has a listening problem or he isn't invested in learning about the things that are important to you. Either way, fin. Now, number three, he's hard to reach, always losing his phone or gets back to you inconsistently. So you want to cross him off the list as your emergency contact. Number four, when you're upset, he doesn't know how to comfort you and just shuts down. And considering there are going to be countless moments in your life where you're going to need a partner to be there for you emotionally, this is not a positive sign. Number five, all the plants in his apartment are dead. And as a plant lover, you know, this is pretty egregious. And also it's a sign that he can't nurture. If you can't keep a cactus alive, how are you going to keep a relationship alive? Now, number six, he never makes any plans for the two of you and just expects you to come up with all the ideas. And eventually this is going to get old, especially if you have kids together. Seven, he gets himself a drink or a bite to eat, but doesn't ask if you want something. Again, this is a sign he's not attuned to your needs. He probably doesn't notice when you're cold either. Now, number eight, he spells your name wrong. No excuse for this. Number nine, he doesn't think about you in big decisions he makes, like where he's going to move next or whether he's going to get a pet you're allergic to. Translation, he's not thinking about you being part of his life in the long term. Yet another sign of an imaginary relationship. 10, you tell him something that's bothering you or ask him to change his behavior and he twists it around to make it seem like it's your problem. Now, resolving issues with this person is going to be like chasing your tail for an eternity. Telltale sign of an imaginary relationship. Number 11, he's irresponsible with money but refuses to change his ways. And this is going to become a big problem if you're ever trying to make a purchase, a large purchase together. Number 12, he has a treatable problem like depression or OCD, but he refuses to seek treatment. So you really want to be with someone who doesn't want to be the best person that he can be? You don't even need to answer that one, because I know what you're going to say. And number 13, drum roll please. He makes condescending comments about women getting fat and haggard when they're older. So sure will be fun to grow old with him. And if it isn't an imaginary relationship, then we want it to be. We want you to imagine a guy like that out of your life. Now, and I want you to know that imaginary relationships are way more common than you might realize. So here's how it goes. One minute you're feeling head over heels in love, and the next minute you're getting dumped for another woman. Now, how could this happen? And I'm sure if it's happened to you, you asked yourself that question, how? Now, it's easier than you can ever imagine. So let me tell you how. So let's say things start out casual. No strings attached, you're having fun. Typical beginning, right? And maybe you liked the arrangement because you were coming off another relationship. Maybe you felt scared to go too fast. Maybe you liked the fact that he didn't smother or pressure you into making big decisions about commitment or accountability. Good in the beginning. But then after some time, you start falling in love. And maybe you ignored the warning signs that you were falling hard for this man, but you never allowed yourself to worry about the outcome until it was too late. Now, when you put yourself in a sexual arrangement, like friends with benefits or whatever you want to call it, you're pulling the wool over your eyes. Because here's the bottom line. Given the female anatomy, sex is a deeply intimate act where you take somebody inside your body. So it's only natural to become attached to someone who you let this close to you, who you literally let get into you. Now, once the attachment forms, it's easy for you to start weaving tall tales. Soon you're fooling yourself into believing that the man you're with is serious about you, and you start envisioning a future with him and figure he's envisioning a future with you. Now, when the guy says to you, we're just hanging out, your brain figures that he's just being a normal guy with cold feet. He's resisting commitment and playing it cool, but he'll come around one day. And you tell yourself that he feels the way you do, and he's just going to go about commitment through a backdoor fashion. Now comes the heavy lifting on your part to prove to him that you're the one for him. So you do all the calling, the texting, the doting on him, the cooking for him, the giving him mind-blowing sex when he wants, and you're just a shoulder always there for him when he needs it. Now, maybe you met his family, maybe you met his friends and his pets, and maybe he even spends lots of money on you, and he shares intimate details about his childhood during cozy, snuggly pillow talk times. And maybe he's even said that he loves you. But the guy may not be in love with you, and he doesn't feel committed because in his mind he isn't. And then the next thing you know, you're getting dumped for another woman that he's marrying. Meanwhile, he's flabbergasted that you're crying on his shoulder, and he says to you, but you knew what we were. You were a pit stop. You were a stepping stone, a for now girl. And all the time you were conning yourself into believing that you were a wife in the making. Now, how do women fall into such a painful and terrible trap? Now, believe it or not, when it comes to dating, the women's liberation movement has not helped us women. So day and night, we're powerful and assertive. We take charge in the bedroom, in the boardroom. When we see a man we want, we go for it. We pursue, we chase, we basically screw ourselves out of happily ever after without realizing it. Why? Because we've lost our feminine goddess energy. And I'm not telling you this because I'm old school and traditional. You've heard my mouth. I'm saying this because it just works better for you when you have some feminine energy in the relationship. This way you're not twisting yourself into a pretzel to snag some guy who probably doesn't even deserve you. And remember, you can't escape biology. Men are hardwired to be the pursuers and the providers, and women are wired to receive and be protected. And if you doubt this, just look at your reproductive anatomy. It's all about receiving. Now, women are also biologically programmed to define their self-worth through their relationships. Men are not as likely to do this because of this truth. It's important for women to feel appreciated, adored, and cherished. And men are happy to do these things for you because they define their sense of self-worth through their power to provide and make you happy. That's his job. Now, when you're in your feminine energy, you're the queen bee of the hive. You're the center, you're still, you're calm. You are receiving. And the men in your life are the worker bees. They're giving, they're doing, they're nurturing, they're wanting to take care of you, they're buzzing around, doing what they can to please you. And you are doing your job of appreciating them and building them up so that they can go back out into the world and not only provide for others, but also feel invigorated to come back and provide more for you. Now, once you become the worker bee, the dynamic shifts, and he's the queen bee, and most guys don't want to be queens. Plus, he'll get bored, and he'll resent you for not making him accountable to the relationship. He won't respect you. He'll take you for granted. He'll decide things on his clock. He'll call you back if he wants to see you, if he wants sex with you. Sound familiar? Now, don't forget, a practical, get it done, let's talk facts attitude is awesome in the workplace, but it's not going to get you anywhere in love. Men don't fall in love with your brains or your ability to have witty banter. A man enjoys these traits in you and he respects you for them, but what makes him fall deeply in love with you is your vulnerability. So when you soften your edges and turn your rough, severe corners into cushiony, velvety textures, you're going to draw him closer because he wants to feel like you're a safe place for him to reveal his underbelly, and your softer edges are the perfect place for him to rest his heart. Now, you can't love him out of an imaginary relationship. Don't think you can. You can't really say you're being used either, because the truth is that usually guys let us know up front and throughout the relationship that there's no possibility for long-term love. They don't see it going there. They tell you. You just choose not to believe, and women have selective hearing. So if he's been telling you that things aren't serious, it's time for you to seriously weigh your options, okay? So here you are with selective hearing. You're set out on making him see the light. You do everything you can for him. You cook for him. You give him sex when he wants it, play therapist, even become his best buddy. You work so hard for his attention, his devotion. You slave in his service while chalking up his lack of availability and commitment as wounds from childhood that left him scared and shy. You're going to heal him now. Make every excuse for him. You think that if you just love him enough, he's finally going to know the care and touch of a real loving woman. And you think that if you cater to him and be the best sex he's ever had, that he won't know how to live without you, but he will. Even if the sex is amazing, he'll move on just fine. The point is, you cannot try and be amazing just to get the guy to commit. He has to have this unexplained attraction to you, and if he doesn't now, he never will. He'll appreciate your efforts, he'll care for you, he'll even be there for you as a friend for life. But no amount of chasing and catering is going to make him love you more. Now remember, so often, I talk about the old scars. And if you didn't receive the love you deserved as a kid, that sets you up for this kind of a pattern where you think, I'm going to keep giving and giving and giving, and finally mommy or daddy are going to see how lovable I am and they're going to love me back. And it's so painful for you to give so much of yourself and to get told, sorry, your best efforts aren't enough to get you loved. Makes you feel used, makes you feel worthless. So the only thing that makes any difference is you got to heal your old scars. Stop chasing after rainbows and empty wells. My book, Till Death Do Us Part, Unless I Kill You First, shows you how to do that. It's coming out by Hay House in January under Kiss Your Fights Goodbye. But my point to you is the only thing that makes any difference, that means anything, is how much energy he wants to give to you. And if he labels it as friends, that's what it is. If he labels it, I like you, or you're sexy, I want to spend the night with you, then that's all it is. And it's unmistakable when a man's energy is coming towards you. He calls, he listens, he tries hard to get near you. And the only way he can do that is if you're far enough away from him for him to have to make that effort. And this is a brutal situation. You just have to face the facts. If he's not into you, he's not into you. And you can't make a man be more into you by talking to him about it, by wanting him, by missing him, by being honest with him about the way you feel for him. It's not in this way. So first, heal your scars, love yourself, feel desirable, and then lean back and let the right guy come to you. I'm going to take a brief break, and I'll be back with you in a moment on Ask Dr. Love Radio. Hello again, and welcome back to Ask Dr. Love Radio. I'm Dr. Jamie Turndorf, and it's my pleasure to be with you. Today's show is Imaginary Relationships. Are you in one? And how to get yourself out and find the real love you deserve. So this is Dr. Love's Quickie, so let me get down to some quick little tips about how you can get out of an imaginary relationship. First of all, you got to get out of the clouds and put up some personal boundaries. So if you're in an imaginary relationship, wanting to believe that the two of you are a couple, but knowing deep down that you aren't, you, you've got to stop filling in the spaces where he has a lack of interest in the relationship. Stop compensating for him, and now make a list of all the things that you want out of a relationship. Do you want to be cherished as a priority? Do you want to feel emotionally safe and loved unconditionally by a man who has given you his heart, his soul, his commitment? Now, once you have your list, get strong and tell this imaginary relationship dude what you want. And when he calls you, tell him exactly how this arrangement makes you feel and why it isn't working for you. Say, I feel uncertain and insecure. I don't want to be in a sexual arrangement with a man. I want a serious commitment with a man who knows for sure that he loves me and wants to be with me. Then say no more and wait to see what he tells you. If he backpedals or flat out tells you that he's already told you no, turn that imaginary relationship into a no contact situation. Now, I know you're thinking, oh, but Dr. Love, I love him. But guess what? You're stronger than you think, and you deserve more. And there's so many men in this world, and there's one just waiting to love you. As my mom always said, there's a lid for every pot. There is one guy waiting to commit to you, and more than one, believe it or not. Research says that up to 10,000 people worldwide are perfectly compatible with you. So hold out for the ones that are waiting to commit to you and never let you go. And if this guy has been telling you that things aren't serious, it's time for you to seriously weigh your options. Keep remembering that as your mantra. If you don't believe me, maybe you don't have a right to argue. Like I always say, people who only go out at night have no right to claim that the sun has left them. And if you waste your time with men who you know are commitment phobes, you have no right to say that there are no emotionally available men out there, okay? So if you're finally ready to break free of the old patterns that have been holding you back from the love of a lifetime, let me help you stop settling for crumbs from men. Ready? I'm going to give you 10 things to do. Number 10, I'll go in reverse order. 10, open your heart and be surprised. You've gone on countless dates and you've talked to hundreds of men, so you must be open to love, right? Maybe not. Truly being open means that even though you're looking for that special one, you're receptive to love from wherever it comes. Your Mr. Right might show up in a way you've never expected and might look different from what you've imagined. But how do you attract him in the first place, and how you make sure he falls in love with you every day? So you want to be a temptress, a siren. It's a woman who magnetizes men. Because the point is, you're already a siren. When you tap into your feminine energy, you know that you are desirable. You're a juicy, emotional, sexy female that has all the answers inside your heart and soul. You are everything. You are everything. Now, number 9, don't become exclusive until you're committed. Now, you've been seeing a great guy. You're spending a lot of time together. You should stop accepting dates from other men, right? That's what women do. Not at all. Unless he's asked you for a commitment, keep your options open. Now, it's not about playing games. It's about maintaining your sense of self instead of making any one guy the center of the universe. You also prevent yourself from having that needy vibe, and you make him feel like commitment is his idea. So, this is the ticket. Keep your options open. Date lots of guys. Make him know that you are desirable, that you have a large pool of applicants. He's got to fight to win you. Okay. Now, number 8, soften your body language. Next time you're out on a date, take a moment and notice what your body is doing. Chances are your nerves are showing up in the form of tension in your shoulders, or maybe your hands are clasped. Now, when women become so overly conscious of their bodies, they display tightness instead of that natural femininity that men find so alluring. So relax your hands, drop your shoulders, lean back in his presence. Watch as he fills the space by melting forward and inching even closer to your heart. Now, you keep the romance and connection alive by just being you, relaxing and melting into this, okay? Now, 7, don't think too far ahead. So lots of times what women do is they start writing a script when they're on the date. They're already, buying engraved wedding announcements, picking out the ring. Will he make a good husband? Is he going to ask me out again? Focusing on the future and what ifs keeps you from enjoying the present and discovering who this guy is. And it keeps you stuck in your head and prevents you from connecting to him on a heart level, which is what truly counts. His heart needs to feel your heart. So a guy's commitment timeline is never going to be the same as yours. So, but believe it or not, when a guy feels that sense of you're like no other woman and he feels totally comfortable and at home with you, he will rush to commit to you when he gets that right feeling. Your heart is open, you're soft, you're vulnerable, you're home. And he will run to make a home with you. Now, 6, share your feelings without making him responsible. Okay, this is a big thing. Lots of times when guys make mistakes, and they do, what women do is they point the finger, they blame, they make a guy feel so uncomfortable, and then the man wants to pull away. So learn how to use my XY formula, fully outlined until death do us part, unless I kill you first, soon to be kiss your fights goodbye, where I show you exactly how to talk about your feelings, take responsibility without attacking him. All right, let me take a brief break. I'll be back with you in a moment for the rest of my tips on how you can get out of an imaginary relationship and find your own true love. Be back with you in a moment on Ask Dr. Love Radio. Hello again and welcome back to Ask Dr. Love Radio. Today I'm talking about imaginary relationships, how women fall into them, and how you can get yourself out and move forward to the true love of your life. So I was giving you a list of the tips for how you can actually draw the true love and get away from an imaginary love relationship. So I'm up to step 5. Stop pretending you're something you're not. So honestly, ask yourself, how often have you hidden the real you when you're with a guy? Women do this all the time. It's epidemic. Because you might feel that if you reveal the quirky little things about you, you're going to scare him away. Or if you disagree with him, you'll rock the boat. But nothing can be further from the truth. This isn't about spilling your guts on a first date. It's about letting go of the need to be perfect and letting love in. So stop censoring yourself and start allowing the guy who will love you for you, who you are, to make his way into your life for good. Love you first, be real, be vulnerable, be genuine. Now, 4, switch the channel to receive. So you might think that in order to show a man you're a great catch, you need to make him dinner, do things for him, push the relationship along. But the truth is, men fall in love by how much they give to you. Remember, not the other way around. They're providers. And a good man will want to please you, make you happy, and do nice things for you. So lean back and let him, ladies. Number 3, put yourself first always. Now, it's natural for women to put others first. But first, if you want to inspire romance in a man, putting his needs before yours is entirely counterproductive. And while it's true that every relationship is give and take, you still need to take care of yourself first. So when a man sees that you treat yourself with kindness and respect, he'll see a woman who has a high sense of self-worth and a healthy self-esteem, and these traits are very attractive and will motivate him to keep you happy, to keep you in his life. Now, number 2, don't write him off just yet. If he's too short, too heavy, too young, too serious, not serious enough, there are scores of women who couldn't stand their husbands at first, and then now they can't imagine their lives without them. So whenever a guy shows up in your life, regardless of how long, treat this as an opportunity. So if you're really turned off by him, give him at least 3 dates. He might not be your Mr. Right, but he will get you closer by helping you discover more about you and helping you to practice opening up and being more real. Because the happiest women are often with men they didn't feel crazy chemistry with at first, so it's true, remember that. And here's number 1, last point. Remember, you can't say the wrong thing to the right man. As long as you speak from your heart, the man who's going to love you will not be scared away, because he's going to work with you through conflict, and this is going to bring you even closer together. And of course, you need to make him feel safe enough to express his own feelings, and the way you do this comes right back to where we started. You got to express your own. And as you build a solid foundation of safety and mutual acceptance, love doesn't just thrive, it flourishes. So kick that imaginary relationship to the curb and make way for a real relationship. Let me give you a few tweets just to remind you of the main points that I've taught you today. Remember, if you're feeling run down from giving to a man who won't settle down, it's time to put this relationship down, okay? And giving him more and more ain't the way to achieve your forevermore. Being his friend with benefits won't prevent him from calling it quits. Stop twisting yourself into a knot trying to get him to tie the knot. And if you fear any moment he may jump ship, you could be in an imaginary relationship. All right. So I gave you an awful lot of info there. Remember, my radio shows are archived on my website. They're also on TalkZone.com. They're on Blog Talk Radio. They're on iTunes. So feel free to just listen and play things back again and again. People tell me that they do because I want real love to find you. All right? Now, speaking of real love finding you, let's go on to some questions. These are some juicy questions. This one's called Awaiting My Next Love, or Is It Already Here? Dear Dr. Love! Exclamation point. There's so much I want to tell you and many times that I've wanted to write you, so finally, here it goes. I'll start off by saying that I love you so much, and there are so many times that I think, wow, she's almost like a kind of soulmate, but we've never even met. I think it's amazing the way you help people, and you're one of the things that inspired me to get into counseling for youth. And I've been listening to your show for over a year now, and I've listened to every show, and each week I eagerly await your next topic. Your Valentine's Day special, where you finally talked about your dear husband, moved me to very intense tears and emotions and inspired me in ways I'm sure I'm still unaware of, and I'm so sorry that you had to endure such pain when you lost him. Your relationship with your husband, even now after death, reminds me of my dear father. He passed away over 4 years ago from lung cancer, but he has been with me since the moment he passed. I'm so grateful that you are such a smart woman and that you have beliefs that I can look up to and relate to. And I know we've never met, but I love you so much. Okay, I'm bordering on the obsessive, so I'll end right there. So I'm a 24-year-old girl, and I feel that I've already experienced a great love. We ended things 4 years ago after having seen each other for about 5 years. It was a passionate but confusing and painful love. After having learned from all of your techniques, I know that I had confidence issues after dealing with 2 difficult parents, my mom cheating on my dad working very hard and being very busy all the time, etc. So I ended things with the guy after finding out that he had been cheating on me in the last few months. But he always lied about it, never wanted a committed relationship, lots of manipulation, and we were bad to one another. And even though he now has a child and is in a relationship with a girl he knew the whole time we were seeing each other, he has still offered to sleep with me, which simply tells me that he has not changed. I refused the offers, and I have changed so much. Last year, I had a relationship for a few months with a Korean guy when I lived in Korea. But I broke up with him once I moved back to Canada and realized that I no longer want to be with him. But this Korean boyfriend was the first time in my life that I had a healthy relationship. He met my mom and sister. I met his family. He took good care of me, respected me. We helped one another, lived together for a bit, and even got a puppy together. But in the end, I didn't feel a passion with him that I so greatly crave. I sometimes wonder, have I already had my one true love with the man who cheated on me? Was it even love? And if it was, why was it so painful? And why can't we be together? I mean, besides the obvious, he's not a good person. But why would the universe give me such a complicated love that I cannot be with? My heart tells me that there is more love out there, and I try. And I've lately even been meditating to attract love. I've filled out your Create a Mate twice now. I have a very happy and fulfilling life on my own, and I take breaks from searching for love. But I think I'm still picking these guys that I realize have something very wrong with them after a few dates. And I know it could be my approach that's doing this. So there's this one guy in my life now that I constantly wonder about. And the situation is funny. So last January, I began taking Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and mixed martial arts classes in my area. And I remember the first time I spoke on the phone with the gym owner, Jiu-Jitsu teacher, my heart skipped a beat, and there was an instant attraction on my end. And when I met him in person, the feeling was even more intense, and I'll never forget the first time we made eye contact. He winked at me, and I melted. And ever since then, it's been a flirtation. I added him to Facebook, and we would sometimes chat and flirt in class, and I'm very attracted to him. There's no doubt about it, and I think he's attracted to me, and from what I've learned about him, we have a lot in common. And he's a guy that I've been looking for years. But he's my teacher, and he's very serious and dedicated to his work, something I admire and look for in a person. And I've become very fond of and serious about my jiu-jitsu training. So I feel we've reached the point where I'm too shy to ask him to hang out, and I assume that he feels the same because he's my teacher, and I'm sure there's even legal things there that could get in the way. So recently he told me over Facebook that if he throws a party again, he'll be sure to invite me. And I told him he should throw another one soon. I still have a contract with the gym until next January, but I've many times considered stopping my classes in order to free up the stalemate. In this time, I've still opened my heart up to a number of other guys, but every time things would end, my mind and heart would go back to this teacher man. A part of me wonders if I'm just fixating on this guy because I see him so often and he's hot. But another part of me thinks that this might be my next big love and that fate has given us these circumstances for a reason. Well, all I know is that this is the first time that someone has held my attention for so long since the man who broke my heart. And my attraction to him worries me a bit. What if he's just another horny athlete who flirts with all pretty girls, just like my last love? Am I picking someone with similar qualities as the previous love? And is there something keeping me away for a good reason? My heart remains open, and I pray and meditate and do everything I can to attract some awesome romance. And maybe it's not supposed to be this teacher man, and I wonder if you have any thoughts or advice for me. And if you made it to the end of this letter, thank you for reading it. And if you respond to me, I thank you in advance, because I think I would fly from the earth to the moon if you replied, ha ha, no pressure, right? And I also thank you. I also think about you and pray that you might find one more love in your lifetime. And I'm sure that if it's meant to happen, your dear husband is doing all he can to arrange it. Have a week full of love and connection, and I wish you nothing but the best, my radio soulmate. Signed, Love, Open Heart. Now, what a sweetheart you are. And you do have an open heart. It's because the way you opened your heart to me and shared your love is beyond beautiful. So I can only imagine what kind of partner you are. In fact, I have the sense that you give your generous heart away far too much to the wrong people. So first off, so you don't get hurt again, I want you to imagine that we're putting your heart under protective custody. This is Dr. Love's protective custody. And I don't want you to risk your heart again, not till a guy passes all my tests. Now, let's talk about this martial arts teacher, because I want you to listen very closely to the fear that's coming up for you. You said, and this is what you said, what if he's just another horny athlete who flirts with all pretty girls, just like my last love? And am I picking someone with similar qualities as the previous love? And is there something keeping me away for a good reason? Now, listen to these concerns. You got to listen up. Your fear is a flare that's being shot off from your unconscious, and it's telling you that he's like the last one. And what's more, you are on the verge of forming an imaginary relationship with this guy, because you've created a storyline that says he's interested but can't go farther because you're his student. Now, if you quit his classes, you will clear the way for him. This is what you're telling yourself. But listen, he clearly has no objection to seeing you socially. He said he'd invite you to his next party. And moreover, remember, men are hunters. When they want you, they go after you, student or not. And this makes me think that your fear is founded, that he's a flirt who can't and shouldn't be taken seriously. Now, I know you've said that you've done a lot of your work on yourself, and I'm sure you've come quite far. Now, I know you've done Create a Mate twice, and you're doing visualizations to bring the right partner into your life. Now, keep in mind that our old scars from childhood are a powerful force that overrides all our conscious efforts, meaning these techniques are not going to bear fruit for you until you've healed the old scars. Now, don't blame yourself, because it's very difficult for us to heal all by ourselves, because we all have blind spots and we've been injured in our relationships, so we need to heal within a therapeutic relationship. We can't always heal ourselves. So since you already feel so connected to me, reach out to me in private consulting and we can finish your healing together. Now, one of the things that I want to help you to do is to get beyond being drawn to a man who is a philandering flirt, because clearly there's a pattern here. And your fear is warning you that you're drawn to yet another man like the one who broke your heart before. Now remember this, when we find ourselves trapped in a pattern, trauma, childhood trauma is afoot. Now remember, left to its own devices, the unconscious mind knows only one way of healing, to keep repeating and repeating the old scars we suffered as kids, hoping for a healing outcome. So in order to repeat or restage the original scar, we need to choose a partner who emotionally resembles the parent who let us down. And it's said that both males and females fall in love with a partner who resembles our first love object, which is our mother. And since most of us had trouble with our mothers, by choosing a partner who's like our mothers, we also get to relive the old scar too. So that said, if our old scar was caused by our father, then we'll choose a partner like our father. Now, first we need to be clear on your old scar, because you only gave me a general comment about having had poor parents. So all I know is your mom cheated and dad worked too much. Now, if you listen to how you describe both your first love, an unfaithful player, and this teacher, it sounds like you're speaking about the same person, and that sounds like your mom. So just making it conscious that you're drawn to partners like your mom is a big step forward. And by the way, the instant excitement and passion that you feel toward these types of people, your ex and the martial arts teacher, comes from an unconscious recognition that you're home. We feel this level of activation because our unconscious feels the excitement that comes from the hope of healing the old scar. So perhaps you're choosing a cheater, hoping that this time around the cheater won't cheat and will remain faithful to you. And at the same time, you may be drawn to men who aren't there for you, like your dad, who always worked. So to heal, we need to work more on understanding the exact nature of your old scar. And then we need to be clear on what the healing is that you needed back then. And at this point, our mystery is going to be solved. So you need to stay single until the wound is healed, okay? So otherwise, you're going to keep on choosing the wrong partners and getting hurt. Now, I know you said that the Korean boyfriend treated you well, but that you don't feel any great passion for him. But believe it or not, when the old scar is healed, you are going to feel very differently. And the men that appeal to you now and get all the bells and whistles blaring won't ruffle your skirts any longer. And the nice type of guy, like the Korean guy for whom you now feel no passion, will actually become appealing to you. So again, I encourage you to reach out to me so that we can finish your healing and keep in touch. All right, let me take a brief break and I'll be back with you in a moment on Ask Dr. Love Radio. Hello again and welcome back to Ask Dr. Love Radio. I'm Dr. Jamie Turndorf, and today's show we're talking about imaginary relationships. Are you in one? Why? How to get free? So now I'm in the section where I'm giving you questions and my answers. And the next question that I've selected is a very interesting question because in a certain respect, this man very well may be in an imaginary relationship because he may not have clarified exactly how his partner sees the relationship. Let me explain this. Let's hear from him, and then when I give you my answer, you'll see what I mean. This question is entitled, Gay Man Who's Afraid That His Boyfriend is Cheating on Him. Dear Dr. Love, hello, I'm a 33-year-old gay guy, and I've had a rough life, and I'm also a father of two, and I'm divorced, and something that happened before I knew that I was gay. I was in an abusive relationship for 3 years, and I had a boyfriend that used to hit on me, and I got out of that and was single for 2 years, working and taking care of my kids. I work as a care aide, and so I work long hours, and sometimes I do overnight shifts. So I ran into this guy that was going to college in California, and I sold all my stuff and quit my job and moved to California to go to college. And once the money ran out, he left me high and dry with nothing. And I was stuck in California, so I went home to my family in Missouri, and I was working there and doing good, and I ran into a guy that I thought was really nice. So we started dating, and I was working a lot, and I came home one day and found another man in my bed. So I left him, and I went back to Wisconsin, and again picked up my life back, and I fell in love again. And this guy is a really great guy, and he doesn't hit on me or yell at me, and he got me a Jeep because I needed a new car to get back and forth to work, and he listens to me, and he talks to me, and he even holds my hand when we're out in town. But I'm noticing a few things that don't add up, and I don't want to jump into pointing a finger because I do know that I've had a rough life, and part of me is hoping that the way I'm feeling and all, the worrying that I'm doing is because of all the stuff that I've been through. But here's what's going on, and I guess I'm seeing red flags, and it scares me because I don't want to get my heart broken again. Okay, so his cell phone, when he's home, is always on quiet, and it stays in his pocket, and we both have our PCs, and my PC doesn't have a password on it, but his does. And also his PC has the printer on it, and if I need to print something, I have to ask him to use it, and he logs in and stands right over me watching what I'm doing. So the other day I was working overnight at my work, and my coworker and I needed a jump start, and I texted him because my cable was in his truck. I sent him the text at 11:15 p.m., and he didn't reply to the text until 12:45 a.m. And he had to be at work at 9 a.m. And when we're at home, he has to be at work by then, so he's in bed no later by 11:30 or 10:30, given how tired he says he is. So why would he be up when I'm at work at about 1 a.m.? And he says it took so long to reply because he was in the shower. And also when I get home sometimes and crawl into bed, I have to fix my pillows. And I have two pillows that I always sleep with ever since I got hit by a big truck in a car wreck back in '99. And I have them always kind of stocked up to help my neck, and a few nights I had to fix them, and it made me think that he was cheating on me. And if he is, how can I find out without finger pointing at him? Please help me, and thank you. If there's anything I can do at all to find out and try to bust him so I can know if he's being true to me, um, and if I need to go on with my life again. Can you please help me? Because I don't know what to do, and I don't want to come off as the worry boyfriend and the jealous man. That's not me. I'm a good heart, and I work hard, and I take care of my kids, and I put everything I've got into my relationship, and I cook and clean and do laundry, and I really need your help. Thank you. Woo! Well, I got to tell you, I was absolutely and am horrified to hear about the abuse that you suffered. And because you've been beaten on for your entire life, of course you're afraid that your current boyfriend is mistreating you by being unfaithful. Now, the question you asked me is, how can you find out if he's cheating on you without pointing the finger at him? Okay. Now, if you have to ask this question, it means you don't trust him. So it's possible now that your mistrust stems from the past abuse, which makes you read into innocent situations. But it's also possible that your red flags are flapping because something isn't right. Now, there is a way to talk about this without accusing him. So first of all, I wonder if you've actually ever had a conversation about whether or not you both agree to be sexually faithful to each other. Or did you just assume that you would be without checking? Now, if you never discussed this question, this could be your lead-in. So, for example, you could say, I don't know that we ever discussed how we both feel about being sexually faithful to each other, and I wonder how you feel about this, and then see what he says. Now, if he says that he never thought you would be faithful to each other, you have your answer. But if he says that he wants to be faithful, then you can talk to him about your feelings, and you could talk about how scared you've been or how scarred you've been by your past. And then you could tell him that because of how you were mistreated, you are feeling insecure and expecting to be mistreated again. And if it feels right, you could cite the recent examples and tell him that you realize that your mind may be playing tricks on you, leading you to brace for lightning to strike again. And then you could tell him that you need reassurance from him that you are his only one. And based on how the conversation goes, you'll have a much better sense of where he's coming from. So now, I can't finish my answer to you without mentioning that the pattern of abuse that you keep falling into isn't happening by accident, because you have an old scar, certainly from childhood, and it is likely to be repeated again and again until you heal it. These are phantoms that keep haunting us, and they keep haunting us because we're begging. Our psyche is begging for a healing. So if you want to break free, I really encourage you to read my book, Till Death Do Us Part, and it's soon to be released under the Hay House title, Kiss Your Fights Goodbye. Now, my book is going to guide you to pinpoint your exact old scar, and it's going to show you how to heal it. Once you're healed, you're no longer going to attract abusers. And in the worst case scenario that this guy is yet another one out to hurt you and cheat on you, my book, Till Death Do Us Part, soon to be Kiss Your Fights Goodbye, is going to show you how to break free. So good luck to you, dear man. Okay? Now, I think I'm running out of time here, so I have to figure out what I can squeeze in here for you. So let's do the reading between the sheets. And if I have time, I'll go back to the third question of the week. This one's called Girlfriend Cheated on Me with a Lesbian. Dear Dr. Love, 5 days ago, my ex broke up with me and confessed to cheating on me with another girl. She thinks she could be lesbian and wants time alone to figure it out. She said that we might be able to work it out. It was so sudden. It left me in shock and heartbroken. And I've always put her first and did my best to make her happy. I love her. She says she still loves me, but I kind of feel like she is playing games just to keep me there. Honestly, I don't know what to do or how to feel. It's a conflict inside. And should I wait and hope we can work it out, or walk away and prevent further heartbreak from her? I love her so much, but I don't want to feel this pain anymore. Signed, Emotional Damage. Man, I am so sorry to hear what you've been put through. Now, I noticed that you didn't say that you felt her foray into lesbian territory is driven by a genuine need to determine if she's gay or not. On the contrary, you said that you feel like she's playing games with you. Now, are you saying that she's pretending to be gay just to have the fun of playing the field, or are you saying that she's playing games to get you jealous, to build up her ego? So how you feel about her actions is significant, because if you feel like you're being played, you're being played. Now, by the way, Freud said that all humans are bisexual by nature, and this means we can naturally swing either way. And once we form a monogamous relationship, we choose to commit to that person and close the doors to other options. And that doesn't mean that you don't continue to feel attraction to others, both male and female. You just choose to not act on these attractions so as not to rupture your relationship. So what she's doing is not considerate of you because she's gratifying her wishes to screw around. And the net effect is a giant screw you to you. Now the bottom line is this: she doesn't get to play around on you. Since she said you don't want to feel the pain anymore, since you said you don't want to feel the pain anymore, I think you're going to need to step away from her. Now, you can tell her that she can play around all she wants, but she can't have you at the same time. And when she figures out what she wants, she can contact you. And if you're single, you can see how you feel about giving her another shot. But I would be very, very wary of trusting her again. And I'm sorry, I'm really, really sorry that you've been hurt like this. But promise me that you won't allow her actions to cause you to doubt your manhood. A lot of guys do doubt themselves when a partner goes off with another woman. And research shows that the majority of women who become lesbians do so not because their male lovers were bad lovers, but because they were previously sexually molested in the past. So please keep in touch. Please, please promise me that you will let me know how you're doing. Okay? So good news is I can squeeze in this third question of the week. So let me get to it because, the best way for you to heal and grow is by listening to other people's stories and learning from them. All right. This one's called Getting X Back. Hello, Dr. Love. I'd really like to ask for some help about my relationship that recently broke up. I'm a girl and I'm 19, and since 2 weeks I broke up with my ex because he started to be very aloof with me. And his excuse was that he was very busy at school, and I believed him because he almost has no time for himself. And since he's at a new school, he's always very late at home, like about 9 o'clock in the evening. It's not every day, but often. And he also has lots of homework. And the reason why everything went bad in our relationship is because he didn't do much effort in our relationship, and he told me I was negative. And I am a thinker, and I'm very afraid of certain things, and I'm afraid to lose people, but I also see more negative things than positive things. And my ex told me that he also gets very negative when I'm negative. And he said that he could handle this with me if he could help me, but he said, whatever I do to help you, you remain in your depression. And I promised that I would work with and get professional help, but he remained aloof. Okay, I'm going to have to cut this short. He said that he just doesn't want to deal with it now, and you broke up with him, and you just said you don't want my hugs or kisses, and he said I want to study, and then basically you broke up, and he said yes, it's better, sorry. So now you realize that he's a good man. He is a hardworking man. You think that that you realize that you were overly negative, you put too much burden on him, that he stopped caring for you. But one of your friends said that it was his fault that we broke up and that he wants to be friends with me because he wants to focus on his future, his school. So you want to know how to get back together. Okay, so look, here's the bottom line. Be honest with the guy. Take responsibility for the mistakes you made in the relationship. Admit that you were negative. Admit that you put a lot of burden on him and made him feel powerless to help you. Remember, guys need to feel powerful in a relationship. Powerful that they can help you and protect you and provide for you. Then let him know that you also take responsibility for putting too much pressure on him. He's busy with his studies. Of course, he doesn't have much time left over. Now, at this point, decide whether you want to have a more casual connection with him while he's away and not put pressure on him. And then allow yourselves to reunite as lovers when he comes home. Now, if this is not acceptable to you and you can't accept this more neutral, diluted connection when he's far away, then stay friends. Open your options for now, and if you're truly meant for each other, then you and your ex will get back together when he gets his life back. Okay, let me know how you make out. That's all I have for you this week on Ask Dr. Love Radio. Remember, no imaginary relationships. Love yourself, be real, be vulnerable, and allow the real true love of your life to enter in. See you next week on Ask Dr. Love Radio.